I'm going to teach you guys how to calculate a Manabase Unlimited. Arena does this for you, and I think Arena does a fantastic job of calculating it. I would go with what Arena says most of the time, but if you feel comfortable doing these calculations, sometimes it's a good idea to make small adjustments to what Arena has. But anyway, the first thing you do when you want to build a Manabase Unlimited is count up the number of mana symbols that you have in your deck of each color. So we'll start with green, for example. And in green we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green mana symbols. So we'll write that down. Alright, now let's go to black. We have 1, 2. We're going to count, when you have this where it's like hybrid black red, count it as 1 black, 1 red. So we're going to count that as 1 black. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 black. Then we go to red. Red we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you get to an odd number like this, that should be 5, round up to the next nearest even number. So we're going to go to 6 there. And then we'll go white. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we're going to round up to 6. And then lastly, blue, we only have 2, the 2 growth spirals. Alright, now that you have all of these and they're all rounded up to the next highest even number, divide all these by 2. And now you're going to add 1 to all of these. Alright, and this tells you how many sources, how many, when you're figuring out what land you need, how many land do you need of each color. So if we were going to play this deck with no guild gates, no dual land, no non-basics, we would need this many basic lands to make this deck function properly. Right, and if you count that up, that's more than 17. So it's going 5 colors like we did here is not really something you can do if you're not drafting a format where you have guild gates. First of all, you're gonna never hit some of these lands if you had all basics, and second of all, you couldn't even have enough to have the correct number of basics that you need to support this this intense of a mana requirement. But once you've got all this calculated out, look at the guild gates in this format and see what you can subtract from these numbers. So we'll go through and add up our guild gate. So let's just start with white here at the top. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 white in our guild gates. So we go back to our calculations here, and we had 6, but we only needed 4. So we are actually 2 over the amount of white sources we need in this deck, just with our guild gates. So we may, if we need to shave for other colors, white guild gates may be something that we look at. Alright, now let's go to blue. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 blue guild gates. And for blue, again, we only needed 2. So we're 2 more than we need for blue as well. Red, let's look at red. We have 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 red in our guild gates, and we needed 4. So again, we're 2 more than what we needed. And let's look at our black. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 black. Again, 2 more than what we actually had to have. And lastly, we'll look at green. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 green in our guild gates. And we needed 5. So actually, here's one where we need a basic forest so that we have the correct number of sources. Alright, so we're 2 over everything else. Green needs at least 1 basic forest. And look at what Arena gave us for our 3 basics. Arena gave us a plains, an island, and a swamp. If we look at our calculations here, we were 2 over everything except for green. So they should have given us at least 1 forest here, and they didn't. Look at our 2s. 4 of our 2 drops require green mana to cast it. So that seems like a mistake from Arena, the land calculator. It's probably pretty difficult for it to assess what lands you need when you're playing a 5 killer deck with 14 gates, but it seems like that's a little off. So look at our other 2 drops though. We do have 2 white black and 1 that could potentially be double black or a black red. So the white and the black kind of makes sense there, and even the blue to some extent because we do have the 2 growth spiral. But I do think that the island should have been a forest at least. And really, if we cut all 3 of these basics and put 3 forests in here, we would be 2 over every color. It would actually make our requirements even. Or it would make our lands even on the sources that we have compared to what we needed. So we could just cut all 3 of these and go 3 forests if we wanted to. That's probably the best bet, right? I think I'm going to cut all 3 of these basics and go 3 forests. Like the swamp and the plains kind of make sense because of the oligarch and final payment, but I'm not going to be final paymenting something on turn 2 most likely. I would rather hit these green cards. Sent me a pic of your deck. You can take a look after you're done and see how. I'll check that out. I'm assuming you sent it on Facebook. Alright, so now we are at 2 over all of our mana requirements for the deck. So that's how you come up with your mana base. Now when you're playing a 2-color or 3-color deck, this gets way easier. You're still going to follow the same procedure, but it's a lot easier to figure out how many of each color that you need when you're not playing 5 colors like this.